Hi guys, welcome back to 10 Minute Reviews. I'm Jason, bringing you today's video. Today we are going to talk about one of my favorite authors. We've talked about a couple of his series in the past, and I want to talk about his next series. This is an absolutely fantastic author. By the way, don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And I'm talking about Drew Hayes. Drew Hayes, who has written, and we already talked about the Superpowers series that was absolutely phenomenal. The Fred the Vampire Accountant series that's just incredible urban fantasy. Now I want to talk about Forging Hephaestus, which is book one in his Villain's Code series. Now, there's only 2 books so far in the series, so that's why we're going to talk about the individual books and not the series as a whole, because it is ongoing. Superpowers ended. Fred the Vampire Accountant still ongoing. Villain's Code still ongoing. He's got a couple of others. This guy is just, he's an incredible author. Absolutely incredible. As entertaining and creative an author as I have ever seen. His Superpowers was just unreal with the powers he created and how he made them work and how he made them interlock with each other, and it was just, it's incredible, just absolutely incredible. So the Villain's Code, it's in a different universe. It's not in the Superpowers universe, but it is a superpower, superhero type of book or series, only it tends to follow from the villain's point of view. And that's why it's called the Villain's Code. And it centers around Tori. Now, Tori is a thief. She's a thief that has superpowers. Her superpowers are basically flame-based. She's able to turn herself into flame or into a fire creature. And she makes the mistake, or maybe just the supreme arrogance, of trying to rob a vault that just so happens as to belong to the villains. Now, obviously, she's a villain. I mean, she's a thief. But what ends up happening, she gets captured, and it turns out there's a guild of villains, a villains guild. Now, it's not like you would expect in like your D&D type guilds or anything along those lines. The Villains Guild, it's more of it's almost a law enforcement type of thing, in that they put their rules in place of what villains are and are not allowed to do to kind of keep the peace. And it turns out that's because in this world, in this concept, there are heroes and villains that are basically god level power. And the only way to really prevent this massive war from breaking out is to make sure that the villains stay within certain codes of conduct. So Tori is captured, and she is given the opportunity to join the Villains Guild if she chooses. Now, she has to get tested first, and she has to pass their test, otherwise they'll kill her. Again, they are villains. They will kill her, but they don't want to. They're villains, but they're not murderous psychopaths. So she manages to pass the test and decides that she does want to join the guild, and her mentor turns out to be a fairly normal, plain accountant-looking guy. He's a middle manager at a business. And as the book ends up revealing, he might be the number 2 most powerful being on the face of the planet. Luckily, the number 1 most powerful being happens to be a hero who's defeated him in the past. But he's not fully he's a villain, but he's free because he has helped the heroes from time to time. They basically have a program for that. As long as he stays under the radar. And it turns out he actually knows on a personal basis the top hero in this world. So anyway, he trains her, and Tori is different in that she has these superpowers, these flame-based superpowers. So you would almost expect like a Human Torch type of character, and instead she's more of a maker. She's a Human Torch powered type of character, but she wants to be Iron Man. She wants to build a battle suit. Now, of course, obviously she can power it herself if she can figure out the thermodynamics behind it. But that's her goal. So the first book mostly deals with her trying to be taught by the guild, pass their trials and tribulations and tests, learn. They, again, are a criminal guild, so she learns about crime, although not every member of the Villains Guild actually goes out and commits crimes. Some of them just didn't want to be part of the hero side of things, as far as being taught how to use their powers. And along the way, we learn more about her mentor, who goes by the name Fornax, who basically retired, but again, basically a god, and but an evil one. And we learn about the leader of the Heroes Guild, who's also a maker, super brilliant, creates stuff, and Dr. Mechaniacal, who's just a pretty average, mid-40s, early 50s businessman. They obviously don't know he's a villain. And then we get introduced to some of the hero side of things, including some pretty cool people. A hero pops that kind of is born or created during an event that Tori happens to be a part of. It was pretty interesting, pretty cool little power that he then has to figure out how to use, and he ends up joining the hero side of things. And then the book ultimately culminates with one of the heroes basically turning bad, and a couple of the villains turning, I don't want to say bad, they definitely don't turn good, so let's say they turn worse, or they turn traitor. And they work with this hero that has turned bad, and against both the Villains Guild and the Heroes Organization, which culminates in this big battle and supposed defeat to the Villains Guild. Of course, that doesn't actually occur. That happens to occur right around when Tori is graduating as an apprentice and becoming a full villain and becoming a full member of the guild. Guys, I can't stress enough, you gotta read this book. This is just an amazing book. I love the superpowered book. I mean, there's a lot of different genres I really like. I love the superhero books. I kind of got away from the youth fiction type, like Hero. I don't know if you guys read it. It's a long running series, and try to find more adult oriented, superpowered superhero type of books, which we'll be talking about some of the really adult oriented ones later on. And Drew Hayes, man, after Superpowers, which started as a web series, the Villain's Code. When I finished up Superpowers, I was just dying for him to come out with something else, with a sequel. And he did. He had one that he then took back down, Blades and Barriers. I guess he didn't like it or something. So he took it back down. And I was just dying for him to continue the series. And he talks about, he may, but it's way, way, way years in the future, which really hurt me deep in my soul, because I just loved that series. I still read all 4 books all the time. Primarily 3 and 4, but I read all 4 books all the time, probably 4 or 5 times a year. The Villain's Code, however, might be better. Honestly, it might be better. It's just absolutely incredible. So you got to go read Forging Hephaestus. If I can remember, I'll put the link to it down below. I'm not going to make any promises because I'm not I'm pretty forgetful, but I'll do my best. So thank you everybody for tuning in, and please hit the like and subscribe buttons. We'll catch you next time. Bye now.